Good morning, and thank you to the American Academy of Fertility Care Professionals and Marianne Diogi for inviting me to speak today. First, a couple of housekeeping things. You do have a couple of handouts in front of you. One is the presentation workbook you can use to take notes and jot down thoughts to revisit later. The second is my 90-day action plan packet. We will quickly talk through the steps of this when we talk about simple business planning. So I am the founder and owner of FC Pro, the subscription-based online logbook for fertility care practitioners. As all subscriptions, proceeds go right back into development of software and resources for FCPs and does not send me to Bali on vacation every year. No conflict of interest exists here. So having now published the Profitable FCP Handbook ebook and done some blogging and coaching on business growth for FCPs, I get asked from time to time how I'm qualified to talk about business, or if I have a business degree, or my response, I actually have the most unuseful degree, a double major in philosophy and theology, but I had a life-changing 4 years at Franciscan University of Steubenville. I don't regret it, and all my student loans are paid off. After college, I moved to California because at 22, you're invincible, right? And you do whatever you want, and who doesn't want to live at the beach? And fortunately, I was pretty sure I could get a job, as I'd been working at my dad's hotels for a number of summers. I knew how to clean a room and work the front desk pretty well. So that was my first job. I found a front desk position at the Tamarack Beach Resort in Carlsbad, California. And I learned pretty quickly, after only a couple of weeks, that my dad must have run his hotels pretty efficiently, because this was not efficient. As you know, you've stayed in hotels. At the time of check-in, things get really busy, and you need to move quickly. But I was really struggling because there were papers that I needed to get that were way across the room, and the credit card machine was like in the other room, and I'd have to go and run the credit card, and we were running all around trying to do these disparate things, and nothing was right where I needed it, right in front of the computer. And so, as an invincible 22-year-old, I wanted to move everything around, but I was a little self-conscious and hesitant, but I got up the courage and I went to the boss and I said, "Hey, do you think that we could move some things around and create some processes and get a little bit more organized?" Fortunately, he said yes, and he said great, and we did, and we moved some things around, and we made it a lot easier for everything to be right where you needed it when you're checking somebody into the hotel. So that was a nice little boost. But then I realized I really wanted to learn a career skill. I wanted to do something more than working in hotels, but I didn't know what that was going to be. I was pretty technical, and I ran into a guy who was looking for someone he could train to be an IT consultant. Train from the bottom up, those skills needed to do that. And I said, sure, I'll try that out. And so I started on-the-job training. I was following him around, and I was learning IT, and I was helping fix computers, and I was learning a ton on the job. But he was a solo IT guy, which means this was a tiny business, and he was great at doing IT work, but I learned very quickly that he wasn't great at the business systems. And his accounting and bookkeeping and just all the admin stuff was totally left by the wayside. And so I got up my courage again, and I said, "Hey, Cliff, do you think that we could move some things around and create some processes and get a little bit more organized?" And he said, "Sure, do it," and I love it. And so we did. I helped him design systems and processes to make his small business run a little bit more smoothly. And then I followed a guy I was dating long distance up to Anchorage, which is a whole other story in itself. But I got another job in IT in Anchorage, Alaska. And it didn't take me long to see that things need a little bit of help there too. There was software all over the place. None of it was organized, and people had a hard time finding everything when they needed to install a new program or something. And in the server room, there was cables all over the place, and people were tripping on wires. And to my mind, it was a mess. This was a little bit more intimidating because the boss was a little bit more intimidating, but I got up the courage again, and I went into Simon's office. His name was Simon, I can remember now. And I said, "Hey, Simon, do you think that we could move some things around and create some processes and get a little bit more organized?" And fortunately, he said sure. He wanted a plan because he wasn't about to let me just do whatever I wanted, but I put a plan in place for creating some systems and getting things organized, and we did. And it was very effective. But I got burnt out in IT because IT is hard. Everybody comes to you when there's a problem, and nobody really thanks you when you fix it. But I'd started to see a pattern in my work that everywhere I went, I was actually tolerating the actual job part. But really, it was more fun for me to move some things around, create some processes, and get a little bit more organized. And so I started to ask myself, could I get a job doing that? And so I took some time to reflect and looked around in the paper, and the closest thing I could think of was an office manager. And so I found one of those jobs in the paper, and I applied. And this was a very small office of 2 commercial real estate brokers. And it was really more of a secretary position that they were calling an office manager. And when we spoke on the phone, JJ, the guy's name was, told me that I was overqualified and would be more suited for the guy down the hall who does IT. But I said, no. I want to get out of IT. I want to start fresh. I want to do something different. He said, okay, and he hired me. So after probably about a month or so of sticking to my desk and answering phones and making copies and putting together these big loan books that we would send out all over the place, I'd had plenty of time to observe these brokers as they tried to build relationships with potential clients and then nurture those relationships and bring in new clients. And then they were in the office and they'd also try to keep these multi-tens of millions of dollar deals on track by coordinating title and escrow, keeping attorneys, focused on what they need to focus on, scheduling conference calls and coordinating site visits, really trying to keep everything running on time so that these huge deals would close on time, because every day made a huge difference in funds. And because I can't help it, and I was seeing all this happening right in front of me, I went into JJ's office and I said, "Hey JJ, do you think we could move some things around and create some processes and get a little bit more organized?" And we did. And I began managing all of the closing details for those 2 brokers. So they would bring in a client, and once the deal was signed up, I would take it and run with it till it closed. And then I began helping other brokers in the main office in Los Angeles close their transactions long distance. And then they asked me to create an entire department. So I created a department in this commercial real estate brokerage office within the organization to streamline and manage the closings for all the brokers. And I closed hundreds of millions of dollars in commercial real estate transactions during those 6 years. And then the real estate crash happened, and I, along with half the company, got laid off. So then I started to dabble in different things over the next few years, kind of jumping around, deciding what I wanted to do next. And then Creighton. I got this call, was through our infertility journey. We learned the Creighton model and got help with NAPR technology to try and navigate our own infertility. And I fell in love with the truth of the Creighton model and what it could do to help both those struggling with infertility or struggling with the problems that our women are facing. in the reproductive system, and then also helping to avoid pregnancy, as most listeners here are aware of. But as an intern, I got into the internship, and there's so much paperwork and there's so much reporting, and because this is a heavy method to learn, there's so much to it. But with all this paper, I started to say to myself, I have really got to move some things around and create some processes and get a little bit more organized. And that's when FC Pro was born. And FC Pro, the logbook and reporting tool for fertility care practitioners, has over 100 users today. So why do I tell you all this? Why is this relevant? Because I believe strongly that business is not about a business degree. Business is about stepping out in courage. It's about seeing a need and stepping up to fill it. It's about trying new things and failing at new things and then trying again. It's about building relationships and trust. And business is about profit. But before we start talking about profit, I want to ask you a question. I know I have FCPs who are listening here and other methods, but sometimes does it feel like our instruction as a natural fertility professional or an NFP or a FAB method instructor, does it sometimes feel like this? Or like this? And those are my NAPRO babies, by the way. I have surveyed and talked with hundreds of FCPs and handfuls of others from other NFP methods and fertility awareness-based methods. And I can tell you that most of us feel more negative weight than lightness of joy in their work. Why is that? How did we get so far away from that ecstatic, excited, I'm going to single-handedly usher in the culture of life before I'm even out of internship feeling like this? Well, I think life happens. Most of us added another big thing to a life already full of big things, but without adding extra planning, process, or tools in order to be successful. And I really hope to help with this today by discussing first the necessity of a new profit mindset in our industry. Secondly, we will talk about a very simple process for setting reachable, effective goals so that you know and are reminded exactly what you're working toward. And thirdly, I'm going to introduce you to some fabulous tools for building and growing a business. My goal for this whole presentation is that you, as an FCP or an NFP, fertility awareness-based method instructor, come away feeling empowered, hopeful, and rejuvenated. Now, I'm going to make a few assertions about profit that some of you may find new or uncomfortable, or you may even disagree with. I am going to challenge a popular belief that making money, making a profit in this work is somehow wrong or misaligned with our mission. I'm going to do this because I believe that if we don't begin redefining this outlook, we are actually working against ourselves in bringing about a cultural shift. So what do I mean by profit? Profit, its simplest definition, is income minus expenses. It's a financial gain. The second, and a little bit more nuanced definition, is the advantage or benefit that is gained from doing something. We are created as humans to require a profit or a good from everything that we do. This is how we are designed. This is how we are made. We were created. If we are only giving and receiving nothing in return, we will stop doing what we're doing. And we've seen this over and over again with FCPs. We have awesome practitioners who have to go get quote unquote real jobs because they burn out, because they're not seeing enough of their families, because they're feeling pulled too much without adding anything to the family's stress relief. Now, to be clear, this never means that profit is our only goal, or even our number one goal. I would disagree with that. But we need to rebuild our profit mindset to see profit in a positive light, which will not only make us better FCPs, better able to serve our clients, but will bring us greater profit as a result. Making this, and this is key, a real sustainable profession. So the base of our new profit mindset is addressing what I'm going to call the ministry myth. The ministry myth says that I can't be in this for the money because it's a ministry. That ministry somehow prevents us from making a living. That if we're passionate about something, then we shouldn't charge for it. My friends, this is not our calling. This is not what Humanae Vitae asked of us. I read it again last week to make sure. Ministry and profit are not mutually exclusive. Pope Paul VI did not ask us to bend over backward, sacrifice our family, our financial security, all of our time and energy, and in some cases our health, so that we reach burnout or bitterness in a few years and have to go get a real job. Though that's a little bit dramatic, the ministry myth seems to be a prevalent belief in our industry. But I believe unfounded in truth and ought to be challenged, and must be challenged and eradicated if we are to succeed in bringing about the fulfillment of our mission. We are called to be in the world, but not of the world, yes. We are called, most of us, to be in the world, unless we're called to be cloistered, which sounds really awesome sometimes. Can you imagine all that silence? In the world we live in speaks capitalism. The beautiful thing about capitalism is that we can earn a living by providing value, by doing what we love, serving the people we want to serve. And we can succeed in our mission and change the world by doing so. But not if we continue to give so much without receiving that we don't have anything left to give. The second level of our profit mindset pyramid is client-facing professionalism. We are providing a professional service with a life-changing amount of value. Money is an exchange of that value. This is a widely held belief. The world we live in sees things this way. They all believe it too. We can't say, I have a heart for this. This is my passion. I really want to help you, so I hate charging you. I can't possibly charge you more than X, and I'm sorry I have to charge you that. Is that okay? If I said that to my largely secular audience, they'd look at me like I have two heads. They'd be skeptical that this really is a professional service. Accountants, attorneys, doctors, acupuncturists, massage therapists, counselors, auto mechanics, landscapers, and coffee shop owners don't say that. They say, these are my rates. I am an expert at what I do. I provide excellent service. And if you work with me, it will change your life. Yes, this cup of coffee will change your life. As professionals, our business can be and should be primarily about our purpose and about creating an incredible amount of value. If you can fully recognize the value that you are providing and communicate that appropriately with the people you want to serve, you will reach those people who are more than willing to pay you professional rates. Because those who pay attention. And the more they pay, the more attention they pay. This is one of the main points Russell Brunson makes in his book Expert Secrets when he talks about the essential pieces of building a mass movement. Do we want to build a mass movement of people using natural family planning and restorative reproductive medicine so we can eradicate the need, quote unquote, need for hormonal birth control and artificial reproductive technologies? Heck yes, we do. Then please consider for a moment that we may actually be doing a huge disservice to our potential clients and sabotaging our potential impact when we don't charge professional rates for our services. I want to address some common objections to charging professional rates. And the first common objection is people won't pay that much. This is really a circle of chicken and egg. People won't pay because they don't see it as a professional service. If your rates are too low to communicate that this is a professional service, then they are not going to see it as a professional service, and they're going to complain even when you're charging rock bottom prices. Do you believe the value is there? If you don't believe it, then you're right. People won't pay because what you believe will come out in everything that you do. If you give off any sort of justification of your fees to potential clients, then you've already lost credibility. Also, we can't know this. There is a big difference between what people say and what they do. Peter Shallard, he calls himself the shrink for entrepreneurs, and he suggests that when a potential client responds to your pricing with, "That's expensive," answer with, "Compared to what?" And you can usually go on to have a very interesting conversation. People compare prices to all kinds of crazy things. Now, you have the fellow FCP, Nora Ponder. She decided that she was going to make this a profession. So she figured out what she needed in order to make this her job. And she found out that she needed to increase her rates by 50%. And she did. And she lost not a single client. If you are going to be a professional, go for it. Figure out what you need to do in order to create the space you need for this in your life, and do it. The second common objection is people in my town can't or won't pay that much. Do you live in a small rural town and you think people won't pay professional rates for your services? Now, yes, there is going to be some fluctuation in pricing. People in rural Illinois are not going to be able to pay the same for something as people in a higher cost of living area in a city. But a fellow certified fertility care practitioner, Carrie Biedner, lives in Orange City, Iowa, a town of about 6,000 people. She increased her rates just after her internship and has steadily had full 4-couple intro sessions every month for years. And she's brought in another FCP and an intern to help. And she charges professional rates. And actually, in a small town, you have the easiest marketing ever. Because in a small town, people talk, right? You have word of mouth gold. Now, a third common objection to charging professional rates is that not everyone has the money. And that is true. There are people out there who don't have the money to learn how to use natural family planning, and we want to reach them. But I'm going to say, if you are starting out trying to build your business, then those people are not your focus right now. To grow your business, focus on people who have money. When your value then is clear and public, many, many, many other people will find the money. It's amazing what people can afford when they see a great benefit to themselves. But yes, there are people out there who truly cannot afford it. But the answer is not, as the old saying goes, to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The answer is not for every FCP to undervalue their professional services, because when all of the FCPs burn out, we can't help anybody. So I think that there are two answers to this last objection. And the first is is interns who may need some more clients. You can help them out by referring somebody who maybe needs to have a reduced rate. The second is scholarships. And I think this is actually a much more important piece than interns, because I don't want interns to devalue their services either. They need to be charging professional rates as well. I think scholarships here is our answer. We need to start scholarship funds for those who truly can't afford it, so they can apply for a scholarship, so they can commit to moving through the entire program and paying something, paying whatever they can afford for the service, for them to learn how to use the system. You can begin to ask everybody who comes through your program to contribute just a little bit to your scholarship fund. You can go out to businesses or to influential people in your community who want to support natural family planning and ask them to contribute to your scholarship fund. The third level in the profit mindset pyramid is professionalism in the healthcare community. We will not be taken seriously as a profession by the medical field, the family planning space, or by insurance companies unless we recognize and become recognized as professionals, including charging professional rates. Because again, rates are an exchange of value. The final piece of the profit mindset pyramid is the impact and influence we can have on the world. We are doing work that changes people's lives. How many more lives can we change if we have more to give? More time, more energy, more money. But we can't give what we don't have. Let me tell you a little secret. I want to make a lot of money, because it means that I'm creating so much value that I'm making more money than I need. Because the more money I make, the more I can give, and the more lives I can change. So think about, what kind of impact can you make on the world if you make even just a little bit more money than you need? The second part of this presentation is our very simple process for setting reachable, effective goals so that you know what you are working toward. This is simple. It's not quite this simple, but it's almost this simple. And the first step is goals. Think about what you want out of your business. What kind of goals do you want your business to reach? Where do you want to be? And then also, what is your profit? What are your goals for yourself? Maybe your family needs a certain amount of income. Maybe you want to work only this specific number of hours a week. Figure out what you want out of your business and what you want out of yourself. And your 90-day action planner handout helps you go through all this process. The second step is to figure out what your challenges are. What is holding you back from reaching those goals? What are your sticking points? What are your barriers? And what keeps you up at night? And remember, when it comes to challenges, that whatever is holding you back, it's true. Don't get stuck thinking that outdated marketing or the absence of an app or anything is holding you back from being successful. Because if you use that as a crutch or use that as an excuse, it's true. We can overcome those things and you can be successful regardless of what's in your way. Now you want to take those goals and those challenges and create a 90-day plan. I love 90-day plans. I think 5-year planning is way too long in the future, and even 1 year is too long. When you have a goal in a year, it's too easy to put off working on it because what's a whole year away? I'll start getting to it later. But when you have a goal in 90 days, you've got to get to it. You've got to get going. So choose 3 things, create SMART goals, and we break it down into 30-day milestones. Because remember that business is not a rocket launch. In a rocket launch, there is so much research to be done beforehand. There's so many buttons and levers that need to be pushed and adjusted, gauges that need to be checked and rechecked before anything happens. And though business decades ago looked a little bit more like this series of preparations before even making yourself public, things are not like that today. This is an incredible time to be in business for yourself and to be growing a business as an entrepreneur. Because we can test what works and we can do so very quickly. You can try something, and if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, go back and tweak it or change it altogether. And we can move and learn very, very quickly. Because the best path to success is a winding road filled with wins and fails and a lot of learning. The third part to this presentation is tools, techniques, and technology. So we've talked about the need for building a new profit mindset. We've talked about an easy 3-step way to set and achieve goals. So now, some tools to put that into practice. Now, these are all about reducing the overwhelm and stress. The first part is organization. Organization is essential, and there are 4 keys to it. The first is to document. Document everything that you do in your business, especially those things that you do over and over again. We can get so lost in just doing what is right in front of us, what needs to get done right now. And we lose sight of what really needs to get done, of what really needs to get done to move things forward. But if you have to know what to do before you can decide if you're doing the right things or the wrong things and need to change. So this is about creating awareness. The second key to organization is to identify a place for everything. When things get thrown wherever and your files are just, I'll put them here and move them later, we can lose so much time and energy finding stuff. All client files and everything you use goes back where it belongs. And then you always know where to find it. And it doesn't use any brain space searching for things or trying to decide where to put them. Now, once you build awareness of everything that you do in your business and identify space for everything, you can then create processes for things that are important. You can use a tool like Process Street, it's an online application, to document the steps. You want to document, this is what I'm going to do first, and then next, and then next. Literally so that you could hand it off to someone else and they could do it for you. Even if you don't plan to outsource these things or have a virtual assistant, it saves so much time and brain power to have processes documented. The final key to organization is to establish habits. As FCPs, we all know how powerful and effective habits are. It's one of the main reasons we check every time we go to the bathroom, before and after. It builds the checks into something that our clients are already doing, much more easily establishing habit. So once you've documented what you do, identified a place for everything, and created processes, follow those processes over and over again so that you establish habit. The second piece here is time management techniques. Time management is the most requested topic in all of the surveys that I've done with FCPs and in most coaching sessions. We become so stressed about time. It's so finite, it's always running out. We always want more, and there's never enough, right? We could do a whole course in time mindset, but I think there are two important parts to a healthy time mindset. The first is stop fighting it. There's enough time. I definitely know from personal experience that it's easier said than done, but it's absolutely true that if we can stop fighting time that we can't control anyway, it's life-changing. Second, seeing your time as an opportunity to create value, not to get things done. This is a very important distinction. Start seeing your time as the space you need to create value and not to check things off a to-do list. Here's some more in depth on this concept. I'm making it a goal to strike the words productive and efficient from my time management vocabulary, because we can be really productive at creating crap or just creating something that's totally in the wrong direction for you. We can also become really efficient at typing the same email over and over and over again and asking the same questions. But there are much more effective ways to handle that. Rather, when we focus on being effective, that means that you take your 90-day plan so that you know what you're working toward, and everything that you do in your month, week, and your day are producing the effect of realizing your goals. So how do we be effective? First, create a schedule for your weeks and days. Sit down and have a planning session at the end of the week for the following week. Schedule the important things first, those things that will get you closer to your goal for the month. Stick to your schedule and say no to the things that threaten it. Second, say no to multitasking. Multitasking does not exist. We think we're doing it, but we're really just switching back and forth between things very quickly and using up a lot of brain energy on very little focus. Focus on one thing at a time. Gary Keller wrote an incredible book called The One Thing. The entire book is based around his focusing question, which is, what is the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? We try to do all the things that are right in front of us instead of really drilling down and knowing our single focus. Granted, in each area of our lives, we may have a different focus. But what is your business focus? And this can be used as a whole life concept. What is the one thing I want to give to this world to be known for? And that guides your whole thinking. As Gary Keller says, it guides all of the dominoes that you set up that need to be knocked down. We can also use this as a simple daily or minute-by-minute concept. Start thinking in terms of one thing at a time. Identify what is most important right now and give it your full attention. Easier said than done, but so powerful and effective. Tools. I use all of these tools almost every day, and I've included in your handout a brief summary of each of these and a link to their websites. There are so many fabulous online tools out there today. The really important thing to remember is that when we are using technology and automation to make sure that it's enhancing and not detracting from the connection that we want to make with people, with clients, friends, and business contacts. As the founder of FC Pro, I do think it's a pretty cool application. FC Pro is an online logbook, client organization, and reporting tool. There's a few examples of what you can do in FC Pro. You can quickly and securely look up client contact information from anywhere. You can create a follow-up recap of reminders for your clients. You can know where you are in your requirements towards certification and quickly generate a census report data. A 30-day free trial is available for FC Pro, and you can find more details at fcpro.org. The next tool just for FCPs is the brilliant work of Ratcliffe and Huss Creative. Samantha and Nia have put together some phenomenal supplements for FCPs, like a done-for-you bulletin announcement template, a seminal fluid elimination help guide, and a beautiful handful of slides to use before and after the intro session to highlight your center's information. And their follow-up form guide is incredible. It's a complete checklist for every follow-up and gives spice assignment ideas, user manual reading suggestions, including page numbers, and a whole lot more. I've included the link in the resources section of your presentation workbook. There's one more tool I want to talk about that actually doesn't exist just yet. FCPs get so much in-depth training through the education programs. But many come home from EP1 excited to begin, then suddenly realizing they have no idea how to do this business thing. And there are FCPs who have tried to make a go of it for years as a side gig, but really want to make this a profession. And there's been discussion in the past about who should provide this kind of training. And I really don't think it makes sense to fall in the hands of the education program directors. That's not what they know. They know the Creighton Model Fertility Care System really well. Not LLCs and bookkeeping and marketing and websites and social media and sales funnels. And I hear over and over again FCPs asking, begging for help with business stuff. So I've begun brainstorming what this might look like. What if your business success path were all laid out for you? What if you had a place to go that offered bite-sized, step-by-step lessons on building and growing a business as a fertility professional? What if you also had monthly deep dive masterclasses and Q&A with experts in all areas of business, teaching you exactly how to do it? What if you had some place to go to get all your business questions answered? What if you had peer encouragement and accountability? A whole community cheering each other on, brainstorming ideas, and offering help and support as you work toward your business goals. This is a vision, and it's becoming a reality. And it's called the Fertility Pro Business Academy. This is a membership-based business education and support community for NFP and FAB method instructors and the up-and-coming restorative reproductive medicine coaches. There will be a core curriculum of simple, easy-to-follow lessons for growing a business and regular guest experts doing in-depth trainings. There will be live Q&As, accountability, and the most encouraging community you've ever experienced. Fertility Pro Business Academy will change the way you approach, maintain, and grow your fertility consulting business. This is where you will learn how to run a successful business that brings you joy, amazing clients, and the financial support that you need. It is a community where it's safe to learn, be yourself, share your doubts, and celebrate. And it's opening in September. I am so thrilled to be working on this project because I want more than anything to usher in a culture of life and to eradicate that quote-unquote need for hormonal contraception and the artificial reproductive technologies. But I can't do it stressed, burned out, tired, and barely hanging on. And I don't think you can either. And we don't want to. I want us to do it with strength and joy and excitement because our families have what they need. We get to spend time with them, quality time, and we feel empowered in our profitable businesses. And I'm starting the Fertility Pro Business Academy so we can do just that. If you're interested, go to fertilityprobusinessacademy.com and there'll be more information there. We'd love to get you on the wait list. If you're listening to this presentation before September, we'll be opening up enrollment in September. Thank you from my NAPRO babies and me. Thank you for listening, for considering some new ideas, and thank you so much for the life-changing work that you do.